What would you do if you looked directly into the eyes of your sworn enemy and had the absolute power to end their life with the press of a single button? In December 1943, 5 miles above the freezing earth of Nazi Germany, a German fighter pilot found himself there. In his crosshairs was a massive American B-17 bomber. The bomber was completely defenseless. It was ripped to shreds, flying on a wing and a prayer. The German pilot was a decorated ace. If he pulled the trigger, he would earn the Knight's Cross, the highest military honor in Germany. The American pilot inside the shattered bomber closed his eyes, bracing for the bullets that would end his life and the lives of his crew. But the bullets never came. What happened next was so unbelievable that both governments kept it a top-secret classified mystery for over 40 years. This is the true story of Charlie Brown, Franz Stigler, and the most incredible act of mercy in military history. To understand the miracle, we look at the morning of December 20th, 1943. Charlie Brown is piloting a B-17 nicknamed Ye Olde Pub. Charlie and his crew of 9 young men are rookie flyers. This is their very first combat mission, targeting a factory in Bremen. The sky was thick with anti-aircraft flak, exploding shells that filled the air with jagged, razor-sharp steel. A massive burst of flak explodes directly in front of their plane, shattering the plexiglass nose and taking out an engine. The heavy bomber begins to fall behind the main American formation. You become a lone straggler, and over Germany, a straggler was dead meat. A swarm of German fighters descends upon Ye Olde Pub like sharks. Over a dozen fighter planes take turns making high-speed firing passes. The damage is catastrophic. The tail gunner is killed instantly. The fuselage is ripped open, exposing the men to the -76-degree wind. Lack of air causes Charlie to black out. He slumps over the controls. The massive bomber rolls over and begins a terrifying, uncontrolled death spiral. Just hundreds of feet before hitting the ground, Charlie wakes up. He pulls back on the yoke. The bomber levels out, skimming the treetops. On the ground, 28-year-old German ace Franz Stigler is standing on the tarmac. He is just 1 kill away from the Knight's Cross. Franz jumps into his Messerschmitt fighter and takes off. He catches up to the bomber and places the tail in his gun sight. But as he flies closer, Franz Stigler takes his thumb off the trigger. He cannot believe what he is seeing. He sees young men freezing and bleeding, desperately trying to tend to each other's wounds. The plane is a flying coffin. Franz remembers his commander. You follow the rules of war for you, not for your enemy. You fight by rules to keep your humanity. Charlie Brown looks out his side window and freezes in terror. Flying just 10 feet off his wingtip is a German fighter plane. But the German pilot doesn't shoot. Franz nods at him. He gestures with his hands, trying to tell Charlie to land and surrender. Franz flies his German fighter in tight formation. The anti-aircraft gunners on the ground do not fire, assuming it is a captured plane. Once they are safely over the North Sea, Franz looks at Charlie one last time. He points toward England, raises his hand in a salute. Ye Olde Pub miraculously landed safely. In 1990, Charlie Brown finally placed an ad. A letter came back from Canada. It was from Franz. The 2 men finally reunited. They had been enemies in the sky, but they spent the rest of their lives as best friends, calling each other brothers. In the darkest times, humanity can still shine through. Thank you for watching.